Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. We have the city attorney on their phone. Oh, she's on the way? Okay. Huh? Okay. City clerk, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City manager?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Boland?
Yes.
Commissioner Everett?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin?
Yes.
Okay. I call this workshop of Tuesday, December the 10th, 2019, of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee to order at 6:04 p.m. May we please stand for the invocation given by Deacon Bobby Colvin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father, tonight as we come together for the business of the city, I pray that you'll give our leaders wisdom, that you'll have favor upon our city, and bless it, Lord, we pray. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Babb,
Present.
Commissioner Boland,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Commissioner Hill, Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney. Here. City Clerk is present.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Thank you, staff. Thank you, commissioners, and thank each of you all for being here tonight to participate in our workshop of Tuesday, December the 10th, 2019. This workshop of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee is being held to discuss the December 10th, 2019 agenda. At this time, I turn this portion over to the city manager to lead us in the discussion of the agenda items.
Thank you, Mayor. Commission, residents, friends, thanks for coming out tonight. Mayor, we have a short agenda. We do not have any ordinances. We do have one resolution, 2019-55, that is pertaining to our MLK parade and extravaganza for 2020. I think that's going to be January 18th, which is a Saturday. So we need a resolution for that. Then you have report from the city manager, city attorney, and new business. There will be some additions and deletions to the agenda. What I would like to do, Mayor and Commission, is bring up a subject matter concerning our services for trash. As you are aware, we went out for an RFP, I think that was around the 1st of October. We decided to go out for RFP because we thought we could, possibly see some other vendors and opportunities for lower cost. We got one actual response. We have several inquiries on the RFP that showed up at the pre-bid, but we actually only got one response. Some of the actual vendors didn't see the costs, worthy as far as having to drive their trucks out, what they call it, window time out to the glaze to deliver services, so they didn't apply. Waste Management did apply, the current vendor that we have. The issue with that bid was it came in significantly higher than what we're paying now, actually twice as much we're paying now. And we certainly can't afford, double the amount we're paying in trash, actually more than what we pay for law enforcement. It's significantly higher. And so the old contract, and you have it in front of you somewhere in your packet, allows for continued services on a month-to-month basis. We've been on a month-to-month basis. We did sign a 30-day additional that takes us to December 31st. Now, after December 31st, I spoke with Waste Management after a lot of conversations about the cost they wanted to charge us. It was just too high for our budget. We didn't even budget twice this amount. But they're kind of standing firm. They don't want to go down. So we can't accept their bid, of course. We can't keep them on a month-to-month and go back out for a rebid for like 21 days. There are some additional vendors who have shown renewed interest in being our vendor. And so I went back to Waste Management and requested about a 60-day month to month. That'll take us to the end of February, which is enough time to put a new vendor for trash services in place and figure out all the logistics transferring from one provider to the next. The problem with that is Waste Management wants to give us additional time. They want to give us the 60 days. They were obliged to do that. But they want to charge us the actual bid amount for the next 60 days, which you already know is significantly too high for us to afford for the next 60 days. And so I've been on the phone with Waste Management, trying to convince them, to continue working with us beyond December for services. And they're still standing firm on not wanting to give us the additional time unless we pay the increased cost on their bid. And I essentially told Waste Management, well, if we're going to pay you the actual bid amount, which we can't afford, then we would have accepted the bid to begin with. And we can't. And so that's sort of where they are. They're supposed to be here tonight to explain their side or to explain, some options that they have. But they're pretty firm that they'll give us additional 60 days so we can go back and rebid and find a vendor. But they want that increased payment for the next 2 months. So that's where we are with Waste Management.
Okay, at the annual barbecue, I spoke with a representative of Waste Management. They also indicated that there's a company that they subcontract with that would be significantly lower than their bid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if that person could possibly come on board until we can finalize a
month to month with them. Yes, you can do a month to month with a different company. Here's the catch to that: all of those trash bins out there belong to Waste Management, and they want their trash bins back if they're not going to provide services for the next 60 days, unless we work out some type of agreement with them to keep their trash bins and work with a different vendor month to month as the RP go out for about 21 days.
Wouldn't the new vendor just give us trash cans?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It'll probably raise your cost beyond what we're expecting to bid. But yeah, they'll give us new trash cans as well. But there will be a lapse between if Waste Management comes in January 3rd and take their trash bins versus when that new vendor can come on and give you new trash cans. So you probably could work the timeline out between Waste Management and that month-to-month provider. And so they can work out a deal where trash cans are still in the city until they get their new ones in place. So, and that's the conversation I wanted to have with Waste
Hello,
Management.
Mr. Manager?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Through the
ma'am.
mayor. I just want to be clear that it's not as easy as you can just go and I apologize, I should be there within the next few minutes, but it's not as easy as you just go out and you just, contract with someone for month to month. We need to declare it as an emergency and, and specify why, and we're not procuring the services and then, go from there and if the manager is looking to proceed to do some type of, which he mentioned, additional procurement, then that obviously would be preferable. But you can't really just decide that you're going to just go with any company and not do it in a way that doesn't at least specify in some sort of a resolution that we have tried and could not, procure services within the budget, and this is an emergency. So I just want to put that on.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't saying skip over the resolution part. I was just giving you the nuts and bolts. Yeah. I agree with the city attorney. She's correct. That's the protocol, of course.
When's their contract up?
Services is till December 31st. And we've been trying to negotiate since they gave us the bid for the last 45 days or so, and it's gotten to the point where they don't want to budge off of that triple-digit number they gave us on their bid cost. I mean, right now we're about at 425, I believe. 420, yeah, about 425. Well, their bid came in about $800,000.
Wow.
And our budget only says I think maybe 445.
That's too much.
Okay. So listening to the city attorney, what we're probably gonna need to do is call a special meeting to pass that resolution, because more than likely we won't be having another meeting until December of 2020. January, I'm sorry, of 2020. Yeah.
So that's, you know, I want to bring that up in the workshop. And if they're here at the regular meeting, they'll give us some additional insight on those trash bins. And then we can move forward from there. But I think-
Question, so you're saying if they was to extend and go month to month, it would be additional $400,000 pretty much? Because they're bidding $800,000.
Well, when you break it down into the actual payments, yes. And that's just not acceptable based on our budget. And they were aware of our budget before they bid. They saw our budget before we bid. They actually, it's their contract. They knew what we were paying before. So they were aware of our budget before they bid. We were just unfortunate that they were the only contractor that bid it. But since that time, we've seen some renewed interest with other vendors. And so that's why we want to go back out for bid. But
Okay.
again, we need the 60 days to get that cleared up.
So just to simplify and just clarify, so we'll all be on the same page, what are we currently paying now to solid waste?
400 and...
No, I'm talking about a month, per month. What is our monthly
Give or take
cost?
35,
Huh?
give or take 35, that's what I
So
was just calculating.
35? So if they're doubling the amount that they're charging, it will cost us about 7,000 a month,
66.6.
Yeah, it's,
Close
Right.
to 70,000. Yeah,
huh?
close to 70,000.
yeah, close to
a month.
7.
70.
Yeah, it'd be close to 7,000.
It's 30,000 a month?
It's 30,000 a month now.
35,000 a month.
Okay, that's
now.
what I'm asking. We're going ahead of what I'm asking. If it's 3,500 a month, right?
35,000.
Or 35,000 a month?
Yeah, you got a
And
$450,000
then it's gonna go to
contract.
66,666 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of
Should get
that.
into the
So they
garbage
almost
business.
more
The
than
law enforcement
PBS.
services is higher than that. They're about $50,000 a month.
Y'all wanna go in together and get us a dump?
Yeah.
truck and
Yeah.
start picking up
I wish we'd have kept those trash trucks we had back in the
Yeah.
day. We
Yeah.
were doing our own trash,
You got no choice.
Man.
like Belgrade, but you have to pay for those trucks first to get them on the street before that happens.
We
But,
need some trucks.
yeah, so if.
That's crazy,
They're
man.
willing to give us, like I said, the 60 days, but they want that increased fee until we get our new vendor in place. And that's just, I mean, you could do that and we end up paying them down those 2 months on a payment plan after they leave. But I don't know if you want to do that.
And I'm gonna throw this out too. There's a local provider that provide trash services, pickup in other areas that I know it may be controversial to some, maybe not, but that someone also we may, because it is an emergency, that would, we need to really consider all of our options.
And I've spoken with our local vendor that you're referencing, the Solid Waste Authority certified operator. They operate trash in another municipality on the western coast of Florida. They're local. They'll certainly be amenable to our prices for month to month until our RP goes out, and they'll probably respond to it as well. So that'll be very helpful. So there is a backup plan if we decide to do a resolution and do something different here.
What portion of our trash is bulk pickup are we paying for?
I would have to look at the numbers and give you specifics on that for bulk. But I know it's more for just regular trash, the roll-offs than the bulk. Because you got 2 pickups for the roll-off in a week. So,
So that means if you go with another local vendor, you will have to get trash cans if you don't work out a deal.
if that local vendor and that exiting entity doesn't work out a plan where they can just buy those used carts that are already on the street from them, which most likely would be the conversation. Yeah, they would have to bring in their own roll-off carts. But I think that Waste Management, if they exit, they would be willing to have that conversation and negotiate some type of payoff, buyout of the bins that are already on the street. Subsequently, that won't interfere or delay any type of pickup services. So, and I've had that conversation with, independently with a local provider, if they were to be, you know, that, you know, in that position. So, some things to think about in the workshop. Again, I think they were coming tonight, our current provider. I don't see them here. Hopefully they're here by 6:30. Any additional questions, Mayor? Commission? You have the financial report as well in your packet. Actually, the end-year report was actually in your boxes at the last commission meeting, but we added it to the back again. It was actually in the back of the room as well. But we also added the end-of-the-year report, the October report as well. November's not ready. Typically, when a month ends, it takes about 21 days to reconcile everything for a month. So you have your financial end of the year report and the October new fiscal year report as well. Financial director is supposed to be here, but she had a child care issue, so she apologizes for that. If you have any questions about the year end, you can provide those as well. We're going into a new fiscal year, so we don't have a lot to start off with. We have a bulkier report when we close out December, because you have October, November, December for your new quarterly for the fiscal year. But this report here closes out your previous year, because we just went into a new fiscal year for 2019-2020.
I didn't see any credit card reports in here. I thought we were going to get the credit card reports as well.
I can add that. No, it's not in this report here, but I can add that, Commissioner Boland, if you need that as well. I think we left that off, not by mistake though. But I can add that to the report. I can actually get it emailed to you as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And are you prepared at our regular commission meeting to give a brief
Yes.
overview of these?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just a brief overview of conclusion. I'm gonna bring her back at the next meeting so she can give you a more thorough review as well. The city manager's contract. The city attorney has worked very diligently on the contract throughout the week and the weekend. Me and her have a lot of conversations. We know it's in your packet tonight, and you haven't really looked at it. We could, you know, hold this contract, or you can move forward with it as you so please, or you can, you know, take your time to have an opportunity to review. But she was working on it, I think, till 4 o'clock today, and to be, you know, to do our due diligence. It's the commission's pleasure to hold until you can look at it more in depth. Essentially, what we changed is some benefits and the salary. All the other language from previous contracts sort of remains the same in this contract. We didn't do any mass changes at all. Pretty much it's the same. Outside of salary change, benefits increase, and that's it. All the other language is pretty much essentially the same in this contract as you saw from the 2017, which is the last time we addressed a contract.
Well, I wasn't here then, so I
Right.
don't have a copy of the previous contract, so can I get a copy of that so I can compare?
I do.
Thank you.
At the last meeting on new business, Commissioner Hill made reference to a town hall. I did speak with law enforcement about that particular town hall. They indicated that they had spoken to some of the community leaders. They felt that they were, you know, pleased with some of the actions taken in this incident. Of course, you can always do more and have, you know, robust conversations about any incident in your city. I was indicated this morning that there were individuals that didn't feel they needed the town hall meeting. I spoke with Commissioner Hill because she made the request that we have a conversation about a town hall. She had changed her mind as well. I don't know if you want to keep that on the agenda at adding deletions, but that's essentially up to you guys. So. Tomorrow, we will be at, well, I won't be, but the Solid Waste Authority's board will be meeting on the demolition award. As you know, we applied for demolition dollars for the old hospital. Tomorrow morning is their meeting to make decisions on what municipalities will get demolition dollars. We hope that we're in that pool to receive some money because that will certainly assist us with the endeavors of demolishing the structure and preparing the property for sale and development. And so that meeting will be in the morning. I think it's 10 a.m. at the Solid Waste Authority building in Palm Beach off Job Road. So we're hoping that we get selected again this year.
I don't understand. When did we decide to tear it down?
Tear down what? The old
The
hospital?
hospital.
That's a long time ago when we decided that we wanted to move forward with a developer that wanted to build on that property. And we applied, that's why we applied for demolition dollars. That's why the award letter complemented our application to the county requesting demolition dollars, because it's a stronger package to the county.
I don't remember at a meeting where we discussed tearing it down and selling it.
Yeah, we had that, we've had that discussion. You actually have the award letter from the developer who wanted to tear down the old hospital. We've had that discussion here twice.
No, you said you were negotiating, you were talking to them, but you never told us any of the details.
No, that detail was out there that we want to build affordable housing on the old hospital site. Yeah.
No.
My
don't remember it.
conversation at one of the commission meeting was, and I'm not quite sure whether we voted on it or not.
No, we
was
haven't voted on anything like that, but we know that in order
My-
for a project to move forward, we need demolition dollars.
My recommendation was to make sure that we was on the list for it to be demolished.
Right.
Even as we continue to speak to prospected buyers or someone who was interested in it. So we didn't want to lose that opportunity in the event that we didn't get anyone that was willing to try to renovate it. Throughout the years, it hadn't been successful, so you just don't want to wait and continue to wait. Not saying you can't at some point continue that conversation with a vendor who may be interested in rehabbing it.
But we haven't picked anybody yet, and what if the next person who comes in doesn't want it torn down?
Well, wait a minute. Time out. You have a federal developer who has developed
Where?
Housing in America. Who is
Where?
You have a federal USDA developer who the USDA, through Melissa McKinley's office, bought to the Glades to review areas in Belle Glade, South Bay, Pahokee. We toured many areas. We toured Pahokee. They saw several sites that they were interested in. They have put a lot of energy into this particular site. When they saw the old hospital site, they brought their engineers in, their structural engineers. That building is not savable based on what they saw. They went back to Washington, D.C. with Senator Rubio, with Alcee Hastings, and they submitted their application for almost close to $3.45 million, and they hadn't even purchased a property. And they got awarded $2 million for housing development for that property, and they don't own it. That's their commitment up front. So, in knowing that, and knowing their prior abilities with the USDA, again, this is a federal developer. This is not some fly-by-night, someone we found on the street.
I'd like to
This
know
is a
where they
professional
developed
organization.
before.
So, let me finish. So, they have shown not just interest in that site, but since interest in other sites to assist in redevelopment. And I gave you the award letter probably over a month ago.
And
We
I
read it.
called.
And so what they're wanting to do is release us from this agonizing 4-year journey we've been on to try to resolve an eyesore in this community. And I think that you have a good developer that has the confidence and backing of the USDA to provide us an opportunity for housing in Pahokee. And so those conversations are ongoing. One of the prerequisites for housing on that site is they know they had to demolish the current structure so they can build new.
That's
So-
all well and good,
so-
but none of us
so let
have
me
met
finish.
these people. None of
Of
us
course you haven't yet. We haven't-
talked
we-
to them.
no, you
None of
haven't.
us have seen any kind of proposal.
Commissioner
None of
Bowe-
us know
Commissioner Boland,
anything
that's not how
about
it
this
works.
other than that letter that you gave
Commissioner
me. And
Boland.
when I called,
That's not how it works, though.
when I called West Palm and talked to them, they did not know anything about them.
Oh, well.
I couldn't
have to
find them
disagree
on the
because-
web.
Commissioner Boland,
I'd like to have a little more information.
and we're gonna get a little more information if we can get to the point of hoping that Palm Beach County awards us demolition dollars.
Well, if they
which
award
way-
us demolition dollars, aren't we obligated to use them? Or can we say no?
Solid Waste Authority demolition grant works like this. If a municipality wants demolition dollars, they first have to own the property, which 3 years ago we didn't, and we lost out on demolition dollars for the hospital, even though we were trying to sell it at that time and give it to someone else. Then we went to foreclosure, we took the property, we own it. Then we tried to RFP it off, didn't work either.
Because we
So
didn't advertise it
now,
correctly.
you have, again, an opportunity. Mayor, I can't talk if our audience is gonna talk.
Please.
Now you have an opportunity to remove an eyesore in your community and provide housing. As those conversations mature and we move forward on an opportunity to provide housing by being awarded federal dollars on a property that they don't even own, that shows their commitment. And we send that entire package, and we have forwarded that package to Palm Beach County for an award for demolition dollars for this site.
But you still
Now,
haven't
you're
answered my
welcome to
question. Are
not
we
sell it.
obligated to use the money if we get it?
No, you have to use the money for that specific
manager.
property when you get it. You can't
Okay.
change it and say, hey, we want to go over here and use the dollar.
Can we not demo?
Time have elapsed.
Okay.
This workshop has ended. I'm going to go ahead and adjourn it, and we'll reconvene for our regular commission meeting in 2 minutes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started if we can. City Attorney, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
City Clerk,
Yes, sir.
City Manager,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Bolden,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Everett,
Yeah, I'm here, sir.
Vice Mayor
Yes.
Mervin. Thank you. I call this City Commission meeting of the City of Pahokee, regular commission meeting of Tuesday, December the 10th, 2019, to order at 6:34. May we please stand for the invocation given by Deacon Carl Morrison, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray, please. Heavenly Father, we come this evening with thanksgiving in our hearts. Father, we come asking for guidance and direction for the city of Pahokee. Heavenly Father, let us respect each other as we carry out this city business. Father, we ask this through your name we pray. Amen.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Bab,
Present.
Commissioner Bolin,
Present.
Commissioner Everett,
Here.
Commissioner Hill, Vice Mayor Mervin,
Present.
City Manager,
Here.
City Attorney. Here. City Clerk is present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, staff, and thank each of you for being here today to participate in our regular scheduled commission meeting of Tuesday, December the 10th, 2019. At this time, City Manager, do we have any addition, deletion of the agenda?
Mayor, as it pertains to our workshop on discussion of waste and trash services, we could put that, I'm assuming, under new business? Do you want to leave discussion on town hall on the agenda? Do you want to delete it?
It was a request, I know at the last commission meeting, it got the majority vote, so we're gonna go ahead and leave it. That don't mean it's gonna move forward, but at least it should be on the agenda for consideration if that's the desire of the commission.
Okay. That's all of it, addition, deletions.
Okay. City Commission, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as presented with the addition of the discussion of waste management services for the city of Pahokee.
Mayor, I make a motion to accept the additions to the city commission meeting on the agenda under new business trash services.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Everett for the approval of the agenda with the one addition. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolin,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll move to our citizen comments. Must have a comment card completed. Just a reminder, you have up until 6:45 to get your comments cards in. At that time, we'll have a cutoff period. There will be no more comments allowed from the audience. City Clerk, at this time, do we have any comments cards completed?
Yes, sir. The first person is Annie Hill. I'm sorry, Eiffel.
Good evening. My name is Annie Eiffel. been serving in the community for a while, but my current role is project director for Healthier Glades under Palm Health Foundation. I wanted to take this time to let the commissioners know that on last Thursday, we had a soft opening of the corner store, Healthy Foods Corner Store in Canal Point at Sam's store. And I wanted to specifically thank Commissioner Bolin and Mayor Babb for coming out to the event. It was, even though it was a soft opening, it was nice to have city representation there. So for those who don't know, Healthier Glades is an initiative through Palm Health Foundation, and we have Healthier Together communities in 6 areas throughout the county. The Glades was the last to come on board. Prior to me coming on board, Inger Harvey was the previous project director. And so we're focusing on issues addressing behavioral health, not only just physical health, but emotional health as well. And so one of the things that we're doing with the corner store in Canal Point, as well as in South Bay, is what we realize is that we want to create opportunities for residents to have access to healthy foods. So at the store in Canal Point, they're going to be offering apples, onions, bananas, stuff that you may not be able to, some folks have to drive all the way to Pahokee to get, but if sometime an emergency may come up, you can just go right to the store and get it. So we're going to have the next soft opening January 25th in South Bay, and then once we complete that, we'll let you know when the grand opening of that takes place. So I wanted to just come out and just say thank you to you guys for coming out and supporting the event.
The next one is Catherine Marvez.
Thank you. Catherine Marvez, 1838 East Main Street. Shall I wait for you to return? Okay. First of all, I want a couple of things. With regard to the hospital and this Dollars for Demolition grant, I'm sorry, but the citizens have not had any information on this hospital grant, regardless of what is set up here today. It has not been voted on, yet you are going to seek grant money already to demolish something. One, why are we demolishing something that somebody else is going to build? Even if it's federal grant money, perhaps we should be focusing on using federal grant money for something a little bit better. Two, transparency. Has anybody forgotten about that? This is plans that are not to be held off by the city manager until he gets more details to let it out, because he doesn't want to get thrown under the bus like last time. I believe that was his, I'm paraphrasing, his quote from 3 weeks ago. So step up to it, stop shaking your head, it's my turn. Step up to the plate and do your jobs properly. Secondly, the city town hall meeting. The town hall meeting was not the PBSO meeting. That was handled 2 weeks ago. The town hall meeting was to be a town hall meeting for the citizens. It was brought up by Kareem Murray, I believe. For a town hall meeting, we even discussed, because Commissioner Mervin wanted to set the agenda. And we indicated that an agenda is not set for a town hall meeting. This is a place where citizens can come and discuss whatever they want with their commissioners. And that was the intention of that town hall meeting. Whether you like it or not, that's how a town hall meeting goes. Number 3, the city manager's contract. I'm glad that it's going under and that you have something to present. I'm concerned that our city attorney that we are paying for is negotiating your city contract or is writing it for you. I'm just saying I'm concerned. You don't have to answer me now. You can answer me tomorrow if that is not some sort of conflict of interest, based on the fact that she also works for the city manager in South Bay. So regardless, you can get back to me on that. And thirdly, I would like the commission to all have a meeting somewhere, somehow. You know what, as much as you do not like sitting here and watching the citizens make faces, we do not appreciate it from you, or you, anybody up here. And as commissioners, I think you need to do a little bit better than we, the poor citizens. So please make a workshop out of that. And let's have a little respect from up there. Get down to your jobs. I don't trust any grant money coming into the city at this time until things get straightened out. And if it makes me feel better, I will call the governor's
Thank you.
office
Time-
and voice my
Time up.
opinion. Yes, I understand. I hear the gavel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one is from Sam McKinstry.
Sam McKinstry, 271 East Main Street. My first, actually pretty much a gripe. I'm wanting to know why the flags weren't at half-mast for the NAS Pensacola shooting, murder. Why wasn't the flags at half-mast? Is there any reason? It was brought to my attention that a citizen lowered one and the city came back and put it back up. Why? Anybody? Anyone? Bueller? Anybody? Why are the flags not at half-mast like the governor ordered them to be at half-mast? Do we not have any respect for our governor? Anybody? Number two, when are we going to finish our contractual obligations the city is obligated to at the marina? When are they going to be finished, Mr. City Manager? We've heard months ago that they were 30 days from being finished. They're still not finished. $2.19 million has been given. Where are the results? We'd like to know. I guarantee you there's not going to be any more handouts. You've blown your wad on that one. They're not going to give you any more money. And if you want to take my word for it, I'd appreciate it, but I can show you they're not as well. You could roll your eyes all day, Mr. City Liar, but they're not. Number three, we've got some issues with some of the city staff tearing up things at the marina. I'd like to know when they're going to be fixed. We've got fences out there, the railings with gouges, holes knocked in them from something. I'm sure it wasn't a fisherman that did it, wasn't a boater. Are there going to be any kind of repercussions for neglect from the city? Yeah, I'm looking at my time too there, Mr. Mayor. I'm wanting some answers. Why aren't the flags at half-mast like they're supposed to be? Are there any good reason, Mr. Mayor? I'm asking you now. As the leader of this city, why aren't the flags at half-mast? They're not at half-mast at the city hall. They're not at half-mast on the dike. They're not at half-mast at the cemetery. Why? I'm a veteran and I would like to know why. You don't have a reason?
I don't want to interrupt you. I'm giving you a line.
I'm asking you a point-blank question. When are the flags going to be at half-mast? And why aren't they already? 17 seconds left, and I still don't have an answer.
The next one is from Sharon Coven.
Are we going to get an answer?
Sharon Colvin, 3096 Bacon Point Road. It's been talking about housing here, but I have seen been down Rardon several times, and I've noticed there is a apartment building there that is not in use. Why are we not using that? I mean, if we're needing housing, why are we not using the apartment building that is built and yet no one is living in it? Can anybody give me an answer to that?
The city own
I don't know.
it? The city don't own that apartment building. How can we use it when we don't own it? It's up to the property owner to utilize their property the way they see fit. We have no control over that.
So the city does not own that property? Well, is there any way that the city can help whoever owns that to get that open? So there's housing? Does anybody have any answers on that?
I'm going to respond. We usually don't respond in comments, but are you talking about the complex that was renovated on Rodden recently, the two-story? Is that the one you're referring?
Yeah, the two-story, and it's got a fence around it.
Yeah, that's privately owned. It's not city-owned. And what we actually had that property in code violations for quite some time. And They worked very hard to bring it up to code. There was a lot to do inside that building, and then they just put a fence around it and walked away from it, and then they subsequently sold it to someone else after they did their renovation. So virtually, they flipped it, and then that person's just sitting on it.
So
as of right now.
it's
So
not finished inside or anything?
I'm not quite sure that it is, but that new owner is just sitting on it. I think they did enough just to quell the code violations on it, and then they flipped it, and now that owner's just sitting on it, trying to figure out what they want to do with it, but it is privately owned.
Is there any way to try to, as a city, try to help them to,
Oh, we've talked to them numerous times, and they're just sitting on it. They don't want to do anything right now. There's no
because
obvious
there's quite a
violations
few
right now.
apartments
so-
there, it looks like to me.
Yeah, they're apartments. Yeah, you're correct. We've even suggested that they buy the property next door and make that a parking lot so they can have sufficient parking. We've suggested a myriad of ideas for them over the last, I think, year since they purchased it, and they just haven't done anything.
Well, is parking the reason for the code?
No, they had code violations on the building itself before it was renovated. Severe violations. Yeah, it wasn't about parking. It was about the violations on the building itself.
Because that would be
But
nice
you're
to have it
you're right. I
open.
mean, it's a good idea, but it's privately owned. I'd love to see them open it up.
Time up.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
The last card is from Ms. Ellen Smith.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission. My name is Ellen Smith. I'm Government Affairs Manager for Waste Management, Inc. of Florida. As you know, we are your waste and recycling collection provider. Our agreement, though, expired December 1. We are operating under a temporary agreement. We kind of saw this coming, and on November 22nd of this year, we provided the city with a memorandum of understanding to extend our service till December 31, 2019. This temporary extension is in the form of a memorandum of understanding, and this memorandum, as well as our bid, expires in 21 days. As you know, we were the only respondent in your RFP process. Watch the time. We are concerned that the city has not moved forward on securing provision of waste collection services after December 31, 2019. Our insurance company and bonding agency will not allow us to operate without a formal agreement. You can understand, you do not want us on your roads without proper insurance and without posting a bond to the city in case there's damage. There's serious business reasons that we need an agreement in place. Because this deadline is looming in 21 days and we've not reached an agreement, I emailed this morning a second memorandum of understanding to your city manager. This second memorandum of understanding, we'll just call it an MOU since I can't get my tongue out of the way tonight. This MOU provides service for a maximum of 60 days at our bid rate so the city may reissue the RFP or otherwise provide for collection services. You know we were the only respondent to your RFP. To our knowledge, a selection committee has not met, nor has a recycling collection service agreement been agended for your consideration, nor has the city offered to accept our bid. We acquired this collection agreement from a prior vendor. Waste Management cannot continue service after December 31, 2019 under these current terms. We responded to the RFP in good faith to work with the city. There's 21 days left, and our insurance company will require that we pull our assets, our collection dumpsters, and cease operating in the city on January 1. And that's a Christmas present no one wants. Given that tonight is your last city council meeting prior to the expiration of this temporary extension, I'm urging you to provide Waste Management and your citizens with direction of how you wish to proceed. We understand our bid rate is higher than your existing rates. This situation we're offering does not ask you to enter into a long-term agreement. It provides you 60 days to work out how you will provide waste and recycling collection services to your residents. Mr. Mayor, my time is up. I'm here to answer questions, and thank you for agendaing this item for later.
Thank you.
There are no additional cards, sir.
Ms. Smith, are you gonna be, okay, because if you were, we were gonna move this item up in case we needed to have some dialogue with you, but it is on the agenda for discussion of what we're gonna do to move forward on this agreement.
I'm not leaving. I'm just looking for a member of my
Thank
staff
you.
who's
Okay, we
looking
appreciate
for the
that.
building. Thank you, sir.
In addition to comment card, City Clerk?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move to the approval of the minutes. We have 4 minutes here to be approved. October the 8th, 2019. The workshop minutes, we have October the 8th, 2019. Regular schedule commission meeting minutes. We also have October 22nd, 2019, the workshop minutes, and also October the 22nd, 2019, regular schedule commission meeting minutes. What's your pleasure, City Commission?
Maybe I make a motion to approve minutes for October the 8th workshop, October the 8th regular, October 22nd workshop, and October 22nd regular scheduled meetings.
Second.
It has been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly seconded by Commissioner Everett for the adoption of the various workshops and regular scheduled meetings as listed. Call for questions.
I have a couple. On, I think it's October 22nd, I'm sorry, October 8th, under my comments and concerns, it says my plight as a commissioner. What does that mean?
You were discussing what you were appointed to do, so that's why I put that.
Okay, all right, just
Okay.
checking. All right, and then one other thing, I think it was on the 22nd, the meeting on the 22nd, page 2 of 4. It says, public hearing opened at 7:18, and then under number 3, 4, 5, and 6, it said they all requested clarity regarding the proposed ordinance.
Yes.
I thought they opposed the ordinance.
They didn't verbalize that. The only one that actually verbalized that was Mr. Colvin.
Thank you.
That's it, Commissioner.
Oh, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
In addition to questions, hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes?
Mayor Bab.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. The minutes of the various meeting passes by unanimous vote. We don't have any consent agenda items, no ordinance. We do have one resolution, Resolution 2019-55, City Attorney.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pahokee, Florida, approving the annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Parade and authorizing the city manager to apply for a parade permit from the Florida Department of Transportation, providing for adoption of representations, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. City Commissioners, allow the city manager any discussion, any updates?
For the resolution?
Yes.
Mayor, this is a resolution approving Martin Luther King parade and extravaganza. As you all are aware, January, we celebrate Martin Luther King. We honor him by having a parade and by having an extravaganza in MLK Park. If you're going to be a vendor for this event, like a food truck, or you want to be in the parade itself, please stop by City Hall and pick up the application. It's a one-page application that you fill out. to be in the parade, or if you want to participate in the extravaganza, be it entertainment or a food vendor, again, you can drop by City Hall and pick up the application, and I believe they're on the back table as well. This is a great event. It's gotten larger every year since we've held it. This is our third year, and we're excited about it. We're going to change a couple of things this year and make it more, I guess, entertaining as far as bringing in some more performances and maybe have a performance contest among the groups. So we're working on that as well. So please tell all of your groups if you want, and also if you just want to have a table at the event and distribute literature, be it your your nonprofit organization or whatever organization that you want to promote. There's opportunities for that as well. So please take an opportunity to fill out the application and participate in this event. It's an excellent event. It's great every year. And we really would like to see a diverse crowd of this community out for this event. It's a fun time. It doesn't last all day. Starts at about 9 o'clock, and we try to wrap up about 2 o'clock so we don't take your entire weekend from you for the holiday weekend for MLK celebration. So please participate in this event, either as a vendor or in the parade or even performing as well. Please pick up the applications either at City Hall, or you can pick them up on the back table before you leave here tonight.
Thank you, City Manager, for that.
Could I ask one question? Last year, didn't we march straight into the park for the, this year, we're going to go the same route like the Christmas parade did and then go to the park? I just want to make sure I'm going the right way.
We'll dump off into MLK Park. We won't go down Rodden. We'll start from the high school, of course, come all the way down Main Street, and then we'll dump off into MLK Park. We don't make that.
Like
yes.
we did last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. The date is January 18th, Saturday, January 18th. And we started doing it on Saturdays because out in the Glades, you have our sister city that does a large event on the actual day, on Monday, and we wanted to be fair and see if everyone can have an opportunity to come to both events. That's why we do ours on Saturday versus the actual day. That's it, man, for the resolution.
Thank you, sir. City Commission having had Resolution 2018-55 properly read into the minutes and properly given a brief explanation. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to offer a motion that we accept Resolution 2019-55.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin for the adoption of Resolution 2019-55. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Resolution 2018-55 passes by unanimous vote. We don't have any public hearings, no proclamation, no presentations. Now we're down to the mayor's report. Just would like to commend the Pahokee Chamber and all of those who participated in our annual Christmas parade last night. It was a beautiful parade, outstanding floats, great participation from participants as well as the general public. Again, we're also looking forward to the Martin Luther King celebration in January. Also just want to announce Dr. Johnson will be having a presentation at United Missionary Baptist Church here in Pahokee on December the 28th at 4 o'clock. The church is also having a fun day prior to that event starting at 10. They're going to have vendors and door prizes and other activities going on prior to the actual event. I'm hoping most people are familiar with Dr. Johnson, so if you're not doing anything on that day, it may be a good activity to participate. I just wanted to share this with the community. Hopefully, there'll be some flyers and other literature going around so we can spread the word about this worthwhile event that's occurring in the city of Pahokee. And that concludes the mayor's report. I just wanted to mention, we failed to put on the agenda, and I think we need it here, the cancellation of our next meeting in December due to the Christmas holiday being so close to Christmas. So we want to do a official vote on that if it's the desire of the commission to cancel that meeting. So if I would, since this, I'll just take this liberty to ask a commissioner to put that in a form of a motion for the cancellation of our fourth Tuesday meeting in December.
A motion that we cancel the second meeting in December.
A second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Bolden and properly second by Vice Mayor Mervin that we cancel our December, the fourth Tuesday in December meeting. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Bolden?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Mervin?
Yes.
Commissioner Everett?
Yes.
Mayor Bab?
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll move to our city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few announcements. On December 18th, that's a Wednesday, that's our Christmas toy giveaway here in the city of Pahokee. It will happen here at 360 East Main. The kids get to come in and select one or two toys of their preference for Christmas. So that's December 18th here, 5:30 to 6:30 in the cafeteria for the Christmas holidays. I think I've made the announcement about our MLK Parade and Extravaganza on January 18th. Also encourage as well, we're moving into our different seasons for Parks and Recreation. We have girls flag football coming up. Of course, we're starting soccer in about 2 months here. I think basketball sign-ups have already started. It's already started, actually. So if you know of any kids that want to sign up for these sports at Parks and Recs, please have them stop by Parks and Recreation and do their registration for these winter sports as well. Excuse me. I gave an update on all of our football teams and what their rankings were at the end of this year, but our 8 and under went to an additional playoff system this past weekend in Winter Haven, Florida. They played a team from South Carolina, and they won the first game and they lost the second game. And so we didn't get the ultimate national championship, but just to get to that level and play teams out of state says a lot about, one, the volunteers, two, the coaches, as well as the parents and their support and the overall program that we have here for the city of Pahokee. So it's been a good representation here for the city of Pahokee when it comes to our 4 football leagues here. As you know, we produce some really great football players here, and this group here, the 8 and under, they really represented the city of Pahokee well this weekend. They fell short, but again, they were playing a team in another state for the national championship, and we haven't had that recently here. And so those kids will get better next year. The coaches will be coming back as well, and so we expect to win that championship as well as the regional championships here in the state of Florida as well. But I don't want to call all of their names because I know we're going to be doing a banquet, and we're going to also put together some official recognition beyond that banquet here, Mayor, in a commission meeting probably sometime in January. We want to officially recognize them here at the city commission meeting. But they had a really great season this year, and we really represented the city well wherever we went, with Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Winter Haven, Lakeland, even went over to Tampa. We lost over there as well in the playoffs by 1 point. No, that was in Orlando, sorry. But we really have some great kids here in our parks and recreational programs, and we're going to recognize them appropriately, as well as the volunteer coaches and our staff. And I just wanted to make you aware of that. Mayor, we have our end of the year financial report. We sort of even out in this fiscal year ending. We didn't save a lot of money this year, but we didn't go beyond what our budget provided. As you can see, we hope that some of the services that we provided would have been reduced this year, but they were not. As you know, we're locked into our insurance for the next 3 years, so that's not going to really affect our budget over the next year and a half. But we had a good year, and we're going into our new fiscal year. We just wrapped up October's monthly report. We'll have the November report ready when the financial director comes back to present the quarterly to you in January. And we'll get into some more specifics of how our first quarter is going. But overall, our end of our year was good. It could have been better. We had some expenditures that were unforeseen to the administration when we first did this budget back in 2018, and that affected, some of the savings that we could have had overall. But we don't expect to have those types of expenditures, hit us in this new fiscal year. There are some things that we have to address as far as a repayment back to FEMA from about 10 years ago, and we had a brief discussion about that. But we don't foresee any emergencies, and we hope we don't have any hurricanes in 2020 that will affect our budget as well. But overall, we, as I said before, at every budget workshop, we're landlocked. We don't get a lot of taxes based on just how the dynamics are designed here in the city of Pahokee. And so we have to be very, frugal with what we're doing on our services and how we handle our expenditures. But overall, we didn't overspend, but we didn't save a lot of money this year as well. And that was a disappointment. But again, we saw some unforeseen invoices that came in that we had to address, unfortunately. But I'll bring back the financial director at the next meeting so we can dig into our new quarterly, because December wraps up. Well, the first quarter wraps up December 31st, and then we'll review the first quarter and any additional information from the previous year if you have additional questions about the financials.
Did we have any, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question? Are we going to have to pay back that FEMA money, or
FEMA?
we don't know yet?
Out of DC, they told us not to pay it back, but I've written a letter for, which is not dispute, but a letter saying in so many words that based on the time lapse, based on the review of how this project was handled, that we're requesting that these fees be waived as a responsibility of the city of Pahokee. And so that's where we are now. They've actually pushed back the deadline to pay because it was in November, then they decided to push it back to 2020. And so we'll be having some additional conversations with FEMA at the state level. We're just waiting for a response from them on that, on our request to have these waived. It's been, like you said, like I said, it's been 10 years since this project was supposed to happen, and they gave us the money for the FEMA trailers, and come to find out that there was less damage as anticipated, and there was no project completed. And so they looked at why did they appropriate the FEMA dollars for the trailer, temporary housing for staff, and that's sort of the money they're looking at that they want, but it is the money they're looking at that they want back.
And it's about 50, you said?
I think it's 54.
54.
5567, $55,670.
Okay. And will that come out, I see on under Public Works, Highways and Streets, the $206,177 that we had to give back, that
Yes,
came out of their budget?
Yes,
Will this
ma'am.
come out of their budget as well?
No, that'll probably be general. It'll probably be general because it's one of those expenditures that affects the entire city at a different level than just streets and roads. This is an emergency, so if it has to come out of the budget, it'll come from the general fund overall, from all departments.
Okay, and then I have one quick question about that 206. I know that the finance director said that she had found 140 of it. Where did we get the other 66,177 from?
She said she had found, I would have to ask her why she split that up, because it wasn't like found. It was what we had to pay back. But I have to ask her specifically where she pulled it from. But overall, that came from the general fund as well. We didn't pull it from our savings, because we have to get, a special request to go into our reserves, and we don't want to touch that. So it basically came from our general fund. But we have, under the general fund, and I think you know this because we brought you in and explained it, we have several rotating accounts under the general fund, not just one account. We got several accounts that we keep, money separate in. So, but I'll have her give you that response as well directly.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I reserve my question to the financial director to provide her verbal report, but just to have you on the alert, one of my questions would be items where we're exceeding 100% of our line item. I'm looking at just particularly public works. I'm counting like 15 items where we exceeded 100%, some are well over 100, and how we're making up that shortfall. And this is only at the end of September, so we still have 3 months to go. I'm wondering where we're gonna be. Are we putting the brakes on in certain areas, and how we're controlling the remaining expenditures?
And typically in public works, because you're dealing with machinery, they are constantly doing repairs. And so where you see over 100%, and where you don't see, 100% in one line item, they're pulling money from that line item, pushing it over to repairs. 90% of the expenditures in public works is just repair on vehicles, lawnmowers, lawn equipment. It's just ongoing in that department. And so, and we realize that. It's just one of those expenditures that you face to keep the services moving forward in that department.
I just use that as an example, though, but I'm Parks and Rec the same, and the general fund, there are certain areas where just at the end of September, we're over 100% in our spending.
And when you see that, there's another area that money was pulled from, and it pushes that. When it says over 100%, that means that budget was budgeted for a certain amount. You spent more than that budgeted amount. Don't mean you didn't have the money. It means that money came from another line item and went to that line item, and you spend over 100% for that line item budgeted for that year. So if you had said you had $50,000 for sports equipment, but you had to spend $60,000, that means you spent over 100% of that budget for sports equipment. You had to move money from one line item to the next. It'll show over 100% expenditure because you overexpended for that amount. But at the same time, you're moving that money from one line item to the next just to balance the budget in that department.
Right.
But
And
are we,
I'm also looking at the bottom line figure too, just overall. I follow what you're saying. I was trying to get back now to, as an example of public works, just to see what the bottom line item, for instance, in the general funds, the total line item that I'm looking at, we're right at 100% in those line items. So just for instance, payroll and human services, we had 100% at the end of September.
Yeah, you're supposed to be at 100% end of September because that's your end of your fiscal year. If you fall under that, that's great. That means you didn't spend 100% of the allocated funds in that line item. Yeah.
All right.
can I ask a question as well on that? If you're over, if a department is over 100%, do you then sit down with them and say, why did you go over, and how are you going to keep from going over next year?
Before we come to you in our workshops, we start looking at where they are around June, July, when we started trying to scale back. And what the financial director does is she meets with those directors quarterly, and she gives them their financial expenditures and say, hey, this is where you are quarterly, this is where you're going to be, or we expect you to be in the next 3 months. So that conversation is ongoing with that finance director and all the directors for the department. So they're getting their updates as well, on a quality basis, sometimes a monthly basis as well, as she sees fit to discuss their budgets with them. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
That's conclude the financial report?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's conclude your report?
Outside of that, I just want to, I'm thinking, I'll come back to it. There's something else, but I'll have to come back to it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll move to our city attorney report.
Just very briefly, Mr. Mayor, wanted to let you know the manager was correct. I did work on the contract. I am not negotiating the contract for the manager. It was merely updating the contract based upon the previous contracts that were given to me. So you all will have to look at the terms that are set forth in the contract that's there. Those are the manager's recommendations to you all as commissioners. These are not my negotiated terms with the manager. So just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next on the agenda is the city manager contract, and I just need some dialogue from the city commission. We have two options. We can attempt to complete this process tonight. We can put it off to allow you the opportunity to review this contract and have your questions ready for our next meeting in January. Those are two options. If we do decide to proceed and try to get this done tonight, I would like to then request that we move the waste management discussion up, so that wouldn't hinder our guests from leaving at some point, because this contract for the city manager may take a little while to get done.
Being that we just got the contract portion today, I think it would be sensible on our part to delay conversations with this contract so that we can go line by line, and if there are any questions or concerns, we can have our moment to discuss, so maybe workshop and possibly meeting. Possibly workshop, but definitely I'll wait till our meeting for the contract.
I agree.
So I entertain a motion to that effect.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to offer a motion that we delay conversations regarding the city manager's contract until our next meeting.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Everett and properly seconded by Vice Mayor Mervin that we delay or put off the contract talks for the city manager until our following meeting in January. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioners. Motion passes by unanimous vote. Now we'll move to new business, which will be the waste management contract with the city of Pahokee, the discussion. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. We have waste management here in the audience tonight, and they came up, they provided you an overview of where we are and where our status is. And there also is a conversation for an additional 60 days, as Ms. Smith indicated, to allow the city to re-advertise and make a decision on either a new vendor or, accept their bid for at the price that they had responded to in the RFP. So you have that option to accept their bid. As you know, Ms. Smith indicated that was significantly higher than what we can afford. And then there is an option for additional 60 days, as she indicated, at that bid amount as well, if I'm quoting myself right, for 60 days to allow us to figure out what we want to do moving forward post 60 days. So that's where we are right now tonight. You can bring Ms. Smith if you want to come up to the podium. You may get some questions.
Good evening
So,
again,
good
Mr.
evening.
Mayor, Ms.
So
Vice
that's-
Mayor.
That's, in a nutshell, that's where we are. I mean, she provided she provided a lot of information on where we are as a partnership in this agreement and what's going to happen on the 31st. So you have some options of how you want to proceed.
Okay, I'm going to refer to you, City Attorney. Customarily, we don't engage in conversation or questions until we get a second and a motion for whatever we're going to be proceeding with. So is it,
You all have put it on the agenda. You can certainly, you have the option under your rules of procedure to have other items on, particularly issues dealing with emergency issues that may arise during a meeting, which this sounds like. So you can allow the speaker to speak at the will of the commission, and consider the issues that may come up, including issues that may be of an emergency nature.
okay. And prior to the questions for our waste management provider, I would say that we really don't have much of a choice. My recommendation would be to abide by their bid for 60 days. I know it's gonna take a bite, it's gonna be a pinch for us, but it's gonna take at least 60 days to get a provider, even a temporary provider. You're talking about putting out a bid, you're talking about 30 days for that bid process to end, then you're talking about actually hiring someone on board. In the interim, at some point, I would like to see us hire a temporary person, a vendor to provide services so we can find a more permanent solution to our problem.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I was listening to the city manager's report. Who is the local person? Or is there a local person? Is there someone? Because I mean, double the cost. That's
Yeah,
I mean, I just feel like we're
The-
held
the-
over.
the lo-
We're
the-
being held over a barrel.
yeah,
You know, because of our location.
yeah.
It's doubled. So I would like, do we have a contingency plan in the event that this is not an option we want to go with? Is there someone that we can fall back on?
I mean, to the city attorney, you have to do that as an emergency through a resolution. You have a local provider here in Pahokee that can provide this service. The elephant in the room is supplies. Waste management, those are their bins. If they pull out, as she indicated, they'll take them off the street, probably around January 5th or 6th, somewhere in that area.
It is
And then
certainly we are able to rent our dumpsters. We do that frequently.
Okay.
And you
well,
own the carts,
and-
sir, if I
and-
may. I'm sorry, I'm
No, that's
speaking out of
fine.
turn.
Excuse me?
Thank you.
I didn't
I
hear you.
apologize if I spoke out of turn, sir.
No, that's okay.
But we often rent our dumpsters
Okay.
to other providers in cities who haul their own, their waste management dumpsters. That's doable. The carts you own as part of this contract, the carts residents have.
So if
Are owned by the city.
if that's the case, because I was told differently, if that's the case, and you decide not to go with waste management for 60 days at that bid cost, and you wanted to identify someone else, then there would have to be a conversation between waste management and that particular entity that you choose to negotiate the rental.
The dumpster rental,
The
it's
dumpster
very
rental.
common in most
Right.
cities. In fact, we rent dumpsters and other service providers empty them.
But the question.
But you're saying we own the cart,
You own the
the residential
toter,
cart.
the residential carts, yes, sir. After we assumed this contract from Southern Waste System, Waste Management provided nearly 6 figures worth of garbage carts to the city residents.
So you would have to select a vendor, whoever that be, and then you would have to and then that vendor would negotiate with Waste Management to rent the dumpsters. So,
Have we
That's the
spoken
secondary
to the?
As opposed to the-
local
as
person?
opposed to accepting Waste Management,
I'm saying, no, the residential cars.
right,
City
they'll
homes,
stay.
But we would have to lease and rent the dumpsters.
Whoever that
Excuse
provider
Ms.
would
Bowles,
have
but
to do
my
that, yeah.
question wasn't answered. Who's local?
Yeah.
You have a local vendor.
Who's the local
Big-
vendor?
You have Big Dog Provider. He's a provider here, Solid Waste Authority provider here in Palm Beach County. They're certified by Solid Waste Authority. That's one provider here in the city of Pahokee. That's local here in Pahokee. That's the one I'm aware of right now, local. If there are other providers, they would have to make themselves,
Yeah,
available to us.
I
so we can-
mentioned in the workshop that I have a name of one of the subcontractors for the solid waste that could
Okay.
do this
Right. And
job
so-
at a reasonable rate,
And so
I
what,
believe.
and so what we would have to do, city attorney, correct me, is, I guess, engage these entities to figure out what price is acceptable so we can select one, fairly quickly. It may have to be a special meeting as the mayor called it.
Let me ask this question. Even at that rate, to get a temporary provider in here, we're still talking about approximately maybe 30 days anyway, so I'm just wondering, I know this contract is high, we may have to still using them for 60 days, maybe 30 days. I don't know, I'm just saying. Can we pull this
Yeah,
off
yeah.
within 2 weeks period?
No, I think 30 days is amendable that we can absorb until we make some selections of another vendor
And Ms.
temporarily.
Mr. Mayor, just so that I'm clear, are you referring to 30 days from the time that the contract would end in December, on December the
Right.
30th or 31st?
Why can't you start today?
Just not enough time with the holidays. It just wouldn't be enough time.
I have a question for Ms. Smith. Why did this thing almost double?
Yeah, that's my question.
I mean, our city didn't grow double. If it grew double, I mean, what's the difference?
There's several reasons for that, and if I may. There were terms in the RFP that we wrote to the city and said these terms are expensive. 7-year age of fleet in a 14-year contract means buying 2 sets of trucks. And we asked that that be struck. It was not the city's wisdom to strike the age of fleet. Second,
Wait, what does that mean?
how old a truck can be. Trucks are about 14 years old when they leave our fleet system. And if an RFP says you can't have a truck in the city older than 7 years, that's a capital item for us. And if our contract is 2 terms of 7 years each, that means we have to buy 2 sets of trucks, possibly, in order to serve the city. So if there were several terms in the RFP, and I'll be happy to forward a letter to you that for your next RFP, you could strike some of those more onerous terms in your solicitation. Second, prices are trending up. Green Acres, Loxahatchee Grove's bid price is virtually identical to yours. The new price they accepted. Prices are trending up in the industry. You are farther out than most other cities. The roads are very uneven, and the wear and tear on our trucks is a budget item as well. Our costs exceed 4% in both labor as well as truck parts. Our trade war with China has had a terrible effect on goods and services produced overseas. So, Commissioner Boland, there's several reasons why this increased. Another reason, frankly, our business model, Waste Management's business model. We assumed this contract from another vendor who won the bid, your previous bid years ago, and it does not meet our business model. So for several reasons, items in the RFP, the upward pressure on costs due to labor, insurance, as well as the trade war in China, as well as just the rates in the industry as a whole are all trending up. We understand that this is a difficult position, and we're offering terms if that need be for the 60 days.
Let me ask this question, and I know we're in a state of emergency. We have a local provider here, actually, in the audience. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I want to ask Emilio Perez this question. As a provider, do you feel a company with notice of a 2 week notice could actually get up and running and provide services to the city on an emergency temporary basis? Not in 2 weeks, okay. Just wanted to clarify the timeline if we needed to.
Can I ask a question? City staff stated that they were in conversations with a local provider. Who was the local provider you were in conversation with?
Oh, we spoke with Big Dog. They were going to be one of the bidders on this RFP as well, but they declined at the time. But we haven't had anyone else present themselves since Waste Management did their bid, because they were the solo bid, as Ms. Smith indicated. But the mayor has indicated that there's additional company out there that will have an interest as well. Big Dog is local right here in town as well, so you have some options here what you want to do tonight. The mayor tends to think that we need an additional 30 days after this service ends on the 31st. That'll be sufficient enough to get someone selected and placed after Waste Management leaves. We just
Can I
have to
ask
make a decision on who.
where we advertise this RFP?
When? Where?
Where?
The last one?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Where did we advertise it?
Well, we typically advertise it through our website, but because it was down, and it's coming back up finally. It was actually posted in the newspaper by our legal, and Waste Management knew it was coming up, so they were already prepared to respond because their contract was ending, so they was aware that an RFP was coming out. There were other companies that inquired about the RFP before the RFP went out as well. So when we posted it officially, legally in the newspaper as we were supposed to, we got several inquiries about applying, and we had several companies that showed up to the pre-bid. But as Ms. Smith indicated, her company was the only company that responded to the actual RFP. So as the mayor indicated, he's looking for, I guess, additional 30 days from the end of this month to continue.
Yeah, I don't
with.
think we can do it any soon. I was hoping we
Right.
could.
No, you
but,
can't do it any
just
sooner.
clarify,
No.
we won't be able to. So
No.
we're gonna need at least 30
At
days.
least 30 days additional with Waste Management. So it's commission.
Okay, that's part A of the motion, but in addition to that, we need to include having staff prepare negotiation with a temporary provider and a resolution drawn up. We're gonna need a special call meeting to at least adopt that. Any other input, City Attorney?
Would you want that special call?
In the
Well,
motion?
It would be ideal if you could get someone to accept on the same terms and conditions as your current contract. I'm not sure what you're doing with commercial, and I guess, and how that, if that's a part of the waste agreement. I don't have it in front of me, so those may be some things that you may want to consider if you could. It would make it a lot easier.
You mean right now?
If you could get a provider to
Accept the terms that we
accept the
have right
same
now.
term that you have right now.
Yes, but you would have to select someone.
No, I know,
Further
I'm
pro-
saying,
yeah.
I'm not saying tonight, I'm saying as you negotiate that may be something you
Okay,
want to
okay.
think about.
How much of a significant increase was the whole deal about trucks? I didn't know that nuance was a major deal, now that the age of a truck, long as the trash is getting picked up, but,
Some cities just require the trucks to be in good working condition and kept clean. That's the language that maybe provides a more affordable option.
so how much would that have shaved off?
I can't tell you that, sir. It's a complicated financial model,
understand,
but it included a lot of capital.
Okay.
in it.
I know I wasn't asking down to the penny, but you know,
I-
you couldn't even do a ballpark percentage.
It would
Big
be a
ballpark.
disservice to
Oh.
the financial model to
Understood.
say that, sir.
But would it be safe to say maybe it was a considerable increase?
Certainly, and some of the ambiguities as well. Our pricing managers have to price for worst-case scenario in this.
Because I mean, I can only speak for myself as a commissioner and as a private citizen. I mean, I wouldn't care if you had a 76.
As long as it runs and pick up
As long as
trash.
it's, you know, drivable and picking up trash, I mean, that's, I think, the aim and the goal.
Yeah.
Your existing contract that you're discussing carrying forward, our existing contract, not the RFP terms, does not have an age of fleet in it. It has a truck shall be in general good working order and conditions.
Yeah, I wouldn't, you know, look at my dump truck and say, oh, that's 2018 picking up trash.
As I say, we keep trucks around about 14 years, so 7 years. Certainly makes a difference.
So, Mr. Manager, did we look at that option of to take that out and let them have whatever kind of trucks they want as long as they pick up the trash?
Here's the problem that wasn't talked about with Ms. Smith. And I respect Waste Management, they're a great organization. But some of you have experienced this. We've had a significant issue with trucks breaking down in this city. And we've called numerous occasions when trash hasn't been picked up. We've gone weeks without trash being picked up in this city. And we've always told, well, there was an issue with the truck, there was maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. And I can't begin to show you the amount of times I've gotten all the calls from residents that trucks didn't show up because the truck broke down. And I can't explain to you how many times a subcontractor for bulk was sitting out on 98 as I came into work. I can't count them many times. So when you think about that, and you're paying $450,000 for services, you want the trucks to show up and operate on time. And we had a major issue with that here. And so, and a lot of it wasn't Waste Management, it was just, honestly, it was a subcontractor. And that was acknowledged,
But would
that we had an issue
would the
with
new
their
contract be
subcontractor.
with Waste Management, or would be with a subcontractor?
Excuse me?
The new contract that she's talking about, would it be with Waste Management or a subcontractor?
It's my understanding you're looking to reissue an RFP and solicit for other vendors. A new
No,
contract.
no, I'm talking about the one that the RFP that we put out and that we were trying to negotiate with you. Would it have been with you, Waste
Yes.
Management, or would it have been with a subcontractor?
Thank you. It would be with Waste Management, and we would have two subcontractors. One for bulk collection that runs out of West Palm Beach, and when a truck breaks down out in Pahokee and the rest of the trucks are in West Palm, that adds a consideration to it, and you felt that. A local provider wouldn't have that challenge. So 2 subcontractors are under our existing contract and what we responded to for the RFP. And for bulk collection is GT Services. And then for roll-off services, it's a local company called Henderson's. And they're, I think, in Belle Glade, not Pahokee.
Henderson's
South,
gone.
excuse me, thank you.
Not fair.
Thank
I thought Henderson sold to United.
We still work with Henderson
Okay.
directly,
All right.
and they are
I'm
one of our small business partners.
So the thought on that was we wanted to ensure that we had operable trucks here in the city of Pahokee moving forward. And that's just our thought process on that. That's what we wanted because we had incurred a lot of issues with trucks breaking down in this city. And even some of your homes didn't get trash picked up. There was a major issue with that. Has it gotten better? Yes.
Mr.
They've
Mayor?
done a good
Yes,
job.
ma'am.
One of the things you all may want to consider, a lot of cities, what they do is they will actually get consultants to determine how the tonnage is supposed to be weighed, how things are supposed to come in with the numbers. It's a very complicated process. It's not something that's really easy to just say, well, we're going to, and I told the manager this, we're going to go out and we're going to get another provider and they're going to do, it is very complicated, and cities get consultants to help do this process. And so if you're looking to do something other than what you're doing right now, what you want to do, I think, is try to at least look at negotiating on the, prices that the city can afford. And maybe it's with this vendor and going in the direction that Commissioner Boland suggested, to try to, look at those things that may be more cost effective for the provider, but at the same time, allow the city to be able to afford the service. Maybe that's a starting place. But I think that we're going to get into a really unknown area. If you look to try to negotiate with just anybody, you may end up actually paying more by the time you figure out the how you're supposed to weigh it, and the price, and there's just so many variables, and they actually have people who do this for cities. And I just don't know, and I'm sure you all have you worked with some of them, or at least been on the side of the cities that have. And so I think that what where you want to start is possibly looking at an extension for, if it's a month or two or whatever, and then hopefully working with someone who will work on similar terms to what you're paying right now.
But if we were to hire a consultant, what would they charge? I mean, if they charged us $50,000 to do it, that would more than pay for her 2 months.
I'm not suggesting that you hire a consultant. I'm just telling you that it's complex enough, the issues, and trying to figure out the tonnage and how you're weighing it and when they're picking it up and the bulk and all of these other issues. They're very, they're complex issues that people, generally your manager, myself, we don't have those expertise, right? And so I'm not going to sit and pretend like we do. I'm telling you that cities, large cities, small cities, they hire people to do that. And for you all to be in a position where you're just kind of negotiating any old thing, you may end up in a worse position with another provider where you didn't really understand all of the terms that you're negotiating. And they may, I'm sure they'll understand it better than we will. So I just want to caution us before we, march forward and say we're just going to get somebody and that person's going to do unless they're looking at what you have right now and you understand it and they understand it and they'll pick up the terms and they'll do, what you have right now. I think you're walking in uncharted territory that you may regret.
Well, since this will be a contract, I'm sure you'll work with the city manager to give him some legal guidance and legal advice on moving forward. But at this point, we're just going to need you to help the commission formulate this motion to move forward. Now, you put in, you say 30 days to 2 months. I put in, say, a month. We already got 2 weeks. Additional month would give us a month and a half. I think that would be a sufficient time if I'm not.
Is it sufficient time to, Mr. Mayor, excuse me, is it sufficient time to negotiate with this provider, or is it sufficient time that you're looking forward to, on an emergency basis, try to get someone else to perform the same service?
The emergency basis, because that emergency person can work 2 or 3 months forward need to, but we need to get the emergency provider in line. So the 30 days I'm talking about would put that person in place in operation to pick up our trash.
No, I think what she's saying, 30 days would keep them in place for 30 days while we go out and find a permanent provider. That's what the 30 days are for after the 31st. That'll give us time to find a permanent provider. So the 30 days is for waste management.
Is that right, Ms. Smith?
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody, I guess, should restate.
Okay.
And if I may add 2 small tidbits to this discussion, that may help. Madam Attorney, this RFP, I did not mean to throw it under the bus whatsoever. I don't know that you need a consultant. I operate in about 20 cities in
I'm
Palm
not
Beach County.
suggesting that we do. I'm saying, I'm just letting the commission know the complexity of the type of things that are considered through a consultant that we may not have privy to.
I'm sorry if I spoke out of turn, and also this could be a sole source in an emergency situation and make it easier for you in your negotiation with your administrative procedure rules. It's my understanding the discussion now says that, you know, we have an existing agreement through December 31st, and you're authorizing another 30 days. That's my understanding.
Right.
To seek another vendor or issue another RFP.
Right.
And I just want to clarify my point. It don't necessarily mean in 30 days, we're going to have a permanent person on board. We're going to need someone temporarily. The permanent situation may take a little longer than a month and a half to get up and running.
Right.
Or you're going to have to need an RFP for this, but the emergency situation, I think we wouldn't need an RFP based on the emergency
Right,
situation.
right,
Right, yeah,
right.
right.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Right, okay.
and then during the emergency situation,
We'll
then we
seek.
put out the RFP, is that how it
RFP.
works? Okay, I got you.
Well, I think you can only go, I don't think that this is a sole source situation. The manager has said that it's not like it's the only provider there, it's the only provider that may have responded based on the advertisement that was done, which may not have gone to every company that could have gone to, I don't know. But, or if you do put another RFP out, maybe you want to take some of the suggestions that are being offered today about, you know, lessening the requirements for certain things, and she's nice enough to share some of those things. And you could also look at similarly sized cities that have put out an RFP, maybe with some of the same kind of conditions being far west, or you know, whatever the case may be. I don't know what those cities are. It could be South, I think South Bay may have put one out. But in any event, I think these are, you know, it would give you time to at least, you know, consider some other options. But meanwhile, as far as tonight goes, you at the very least, the city will need to extend the terms of the current contract, which ends the end of December, if this contractor is still amenable to that.
Extend the terms and the 30 days from January 1 to January 31 will be at the bid price.
Right.
And that price, bid price is what?
The bid price is approximately $37 per home and $4 a cubic yard commercial non-compacted waste. That was the price in our bid.
And just so that the commission's clear, would your company consider anything, if we were able to negotiate some terms with you that would answer and address some of the aging equipment issues and some of the things that you put on the table tonight? If the city were to be able to negotiate some of those things, would you be able to come down on that bid price?
That's an interesting question that you asked publicly. We will respond to the next RFP that the city puts out.
Yeah.
Last thing before the motion goes forward. 30 days post December 31st, which takes us to January 31st. But the city attorney also said if we found a provider that accepted the current terms, would you still need an RFP?
I think on an emergency basis, you could go forward. I believe that you could
Okay,
go forward
that's what I
on an
need to know.
emergency basis.
Okay,
And-
I'm good now.
And how long would it be?
And that
how-
emergency basis could be something that the city specified. It could be for a period of 6 months. It could be, you know, something we could talk about that we could reasonably, I could reasonably recommend, while the city took a real hard look about price and did a whole lot of other things. But I think that we could do something on with a reasonable length of time that would, on an emergency basis, allow the city the latitude to move forward.
Okay, Mayor, I'm clear now what I need to do. Okay.
Commissioner, are you prepared now to move this item forward with a motion? Or do we need,
So what's the motion? The motion is to extend the contract from December the 31st to January, for say 30 days, with the existing Solid Waste Authority at bid price. That's the motion. Okay.
Just inserting waste management, not solid waste
I'm
authority.
sorry.
Everybody does that,
Sorry.
But are we?
just
in
for the record. Excuse
Just,
me.
are we gonna add something in there that during that 30 days, we're gonna go look, or we're gonna
Yes.
put the RFP back out, or,
RP out, or if we can find a comparable vendor to accept the current rate
Yes.
conditions,
Yes, all of that.
all of that.
all of that in the
Yes,
motion,
ma'am.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a motion on the floor. Can we get a second? Need a second, Yogi?
Second.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Everett that we extend our contract with the solid waste for 30 days up until January 31st. And during that time, put out or solicit a emergency vendor in addition to a RFP that's needed. Call for questions.
Just make a correction, Mayor. It's not solid waste. Let's make sure that I.
Waste management. You know what, you got me following your lead. Thank you. Waste management. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Commissioner. Motion passes by an unanimous vote. Thank you, Ms. Smith, and your representative. Thank you. Appreciate your love. Okay. Now we'll move to new business. Town hall meeting. It's on the agenda because it was requested. If there is no motion or second, this would die for lack of. Before we can talk about it or discuss it any further, we have to have that process.
So we need a second, is that what you're saying?
We need an actual motion.
We need a
and
motion. I
second.
make a motion that we have a town hall meeting.
Hearing no second, town hall would die for lack of a second. Future agenda items of commissioners, if any. We won't be meeting till January, so if you have any items that want to be placed on the agenda, it's time to motion forward, and we can get a second if that's the commissioner's desire.
Mayor, I don't know whether this would be on the next agenda, but looking at the calendar, January, the first meeting in January, we would not be here, which is January 14th. That will be Palm Beach County Day.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
next, in January, you only have one meeting, that would be January 28th.
So then don't we have to vote to cancel that meeting so we can go?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're only required to have one meeting per month, so that'll fall within our purview. In this, if there is a emergency situation, we will have a special meeting if necessary.
So I make a motion, Mayor, that we will cancel our January 14th meeting due to we would be in Tallahassee for Palm Beach County Day.
Second?
Mayor, if there's something that comes up that we have to have in a meeting, and I think there will be, I'll let you know. But I think there will be. 'Cause
Okay.
We ought to work on something.
Yeah, because that's almost a month, so I'm almost sure.
Oh,
something
it's
gonna-
definitely
yeah, we're gonna
something
need
coming
to
up that we have to work on.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll be complete by then.
Can we get a second on the cancellation of the January
I did.
14th?
Commissioner Boland?
I did.
Thank you. Been moved by Vice Mayor Mervin and properly second by Commissioner Bolden that we cancel our January 14, 2020 meeting. Call for questions. Hearing none, are you ready for a vote? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Mervin,
Yes.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes?
Commissioner Everett,
Yes.
Mayor Bab.
Yes.
And the next thing, Mayor, I have is for future agenda, that we could put the marina on the future agenda items.
Mayor, that's what I was referencing.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
We're working on that.
So we'll add Okay, we won't probably need to even vote on this. City manager has it on his agenda anyway, so.
All right.
Okay. Commissioner Everett,
None at this time, sir.
Commissioner Bowden.
Nope.
Okay,
And
we'll
pray
move
everybody have
now.
a Good Christmas.
For the good of the order, community events, feel good announcement, Commissioner Bowden.
First, I want to thank everybody who participated in the parade last night. It was wonderful. We had a great time. I especially want to give a shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Perez, who came to the rescue and brought their big fire truck because the ride for the Grand Marshal was not able to get here. And she stepped up and let us use her big fire truck to put the Grand Marshal on. So thank you very much, Ms. Perez. The group who had the hot dogs out there in, who was that? Okay, well, we want to thank them very much. The kids really enjoyed them, and it was very good. So I want to say thank you very much for that. Other than that, I'm good.
And if I could, the sheriff department, they did an
Oh, they-
outstanding job. I
oh,
mean,
yeah,
I never
I-
saw that many deputies for a parade, they had everything roped off and organized. I mean, that was wonderful.
I forgot. I want to say the staff did a wonderful job bringing those two, not just one, but two bleachers out. That was great. So we had a lot of space. The only comment that I heard was that the light was positioned kind of in everybody's eyes, but that's, we'll work that out. Yeah. But other than that, I appreciate them bringing them out. I didn't know they really were going to bring two. I guess I asked for it, but I forgot. And took me a long time to decorate them all, but I think we all had a good time. I will announce who won the award for best floats and all of that at the next meeting, and I'll put that out on Facebook so that everybody will know. And thank you to the judges.
Commissioner Everett,
No.
thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Murphy.
I'll pray everyone have a safe and happy and Merry Christmas.
Meeting adjourned. Have a great holiday.